Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll go ahead and get started on our recurring Wednesday webinar series. Today, we're covering the ETRAGE migration system, EMS for short. A little bit of housekeeping. We'll be recording this video, this webinar. We'll make it recording available usually within 24 hours on our website, on our YouTube channel, so you can share this with anybody that needs to share. We're happy to field questions as we go. You'll need to send your questions through the question tab at the top of the webinar interface. It's typical that we'll answer questions towards the end, but only as time allows. If we do not have time to answer questions during the webinar, we'll of course follow up with you quickly. The brief agenda, I'll cover about an 8-minute introduction about ETRAGE, about EMS, and then hand things over to our lead presenter, Czeslaw, and he'll show you a more detailed set of information in a live demonstration. A bit about Czeslaw and myself. I've been with ETRAGE for a little less than a year, but I've been in the PTC and Windchill specific space for the last 8 years. My primary role is to help customers identify where and how they can automate their processes with PLM. Czeslaw is our lead application developer. He handles takes lead in a lot of our projects involving EMS. He has been with ETRAGE since 2001, which means he has more than 20 years of experience making Windchill work better per customer business needs. A bit more about ETRAGE, a global company. We've been in business more than 20 years. Our mission primarily, we integrate enterprise systems, we migrate data between systems, and we find automation to make that work and work well. We make engineering data and any other type of necessary data available outside of engineering, especially to manufacturing and the shop floor. Any way that customers need to extend PLM outside of engineering is a place that ETRAGE often has a useful role. A bit about our offerings. We have a number of our own products. Recent webinars included presentations on the viewer and some of our common add-ons, our document management system, our PSW or plot service for Windchill, and today we'll be covering the ETRAGE migration system, again, EMS for short. Number of services that we offer around Windchill, remote support, cloud hosting, upgrades, customizations, system audits and recommendations to help you, identify and expand your digital thread, your digital footprint, and then training on any number of PTC tools and products. A bit about customers, a few example customers that we've been working with for a number of years. There are typical customers, designers and or manufacturers, any size of corporation, but anyone who needs to share data, find ways to automate processes, integrate between systems, across systems, bridge the gap between what are currently standalone systems, and of course, for today's topic, it needs to migrate large amounts of data into Windchill in particular. A little bit about our staff. 23 continuous years of operation, we have 15 staff members dedicated to just our own application development and maintenance. We have 18 years of experience in cloud hosting and a large staff dedicated to maintaining our cloud customers. 15 of those staff members are domestic to the US and double that are international. Now, some specific details about today's webinar, EMS, ETRAGE migration system. What is it? Well, it's intended to be a fast, reliable set of tools for migrating, uploading, and checking in vast amounts of CAD data, CAD metadata, and as well as documents. We will take those documents, put them in a Windows file, and then we're able to migrate them into Windchill. It's simple. It's a modern user interface. We typically work with customers extensively to test their data. Once we've done our typical testing, it's quick, efficient. It involves a 3-step methodology to make sure we're ready to launch that migration. And I can't emphasize enough, this is not a plug and play type of application. The quality of data, consistency of data means everything in this sort of project. The more consistent your data, the cleaner your data, the faster this will go. Some key features, and again, Czeslaw will go into much greater detail than myself, but this is tended to streamline and automate how large amounts of files can be migrated into Windchill. We support all versions of Windchill. We can load into products, we can load libraries, we can load projects. There's a lot of pre-migration effort put into this. We want to make sure we validate against any existing CAD files in Windchill. We want to verify CAD revisions, identify conflicts. We want to clean up any Windchill attributes before we do the migration. And you're able to create reports as we go, so you're able to track the whole migration. And in the end, it'll be as if all these files were manually uploaded into Windchill. My last meaningful slide here before I hand things over to Czeslaw. Some customer examples, bullet points we've gathered from customer examples. A customer had to migrate 1 million CAD models. There will be a difference between if you need to just migrate parts assemblies, and drawings. The more variety, the more investigation up front needs to be completed. But in this situation, 1 million CAD models, parts only, from one Windchill instance into another, with emphasis on cleaning up the data before it's migrated into the target environment. Our cleanup process, in one customer example, reduced that from 1 million files to 600,000 files. You see, an immediate savings in project time, removing 40% of those files. Migration preparation was able to identify invalid files. We were able to restore those from backups to make sure there's, we don't want to create or perpetuate quality control problems. So we clean that up in advance before the migration is completed. Another common example we found where there are models with the same name, but with different geometry. Again, it's a conflict we want to correct before the migration, make sure that in the end you have a quality migration that's reliable. So time savings for this. A low-end estimate that we've come up with, if you were to manually upload 1,000 files, very clean, your experienced Windchill user, we're estimating 6 hours of time required. By that metric, it would take 450 workdays to migrate 600,000 files. EMS is able to complete something like this in 30 days. Again, cleanness of data, consistency of data makes a big difference. But these are the sorts of numbers where we can help customers accelerate their migrations and make sure it's a successful migration. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Czeslaw. Bear with us as we change screens.
So hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar dedicated to the ETRAGE migration system. And the purpose of this system is to provide efficient and cost-effective way for migration of the large amount of CAD documents to the Windchill. The system consists of 4 phases, and each phase is followed by a set of procedures and applications, as we can see on this diagram to the right. In the first phase, like Scott already said, we going with preparation of the prepare migration information. The second phase is optional, and it depends how the object and where objects are stored before we start with migration. That can be also exporting data from the source system to the file system. In some cases that we had migrations from the Windchill, but also other systems can be supported from our side. And the third phase is validation of the migration data. And in 4 phase, we migrate the data to the target Windchill. Now let's go a little deeper into the whole process and review what are the processes involved in this migration. So the first, like we said, is gathering required information about migration objects. And those can be the 2D or 3D models from various authoring applications that we support, like Creo, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and Inventor. Or we can just migrate any document type like PDFs, Office documents, zip files, etc. For the target Windchill system, we also need to collect all relevant information, like the version, the build of that target Windchill. Do we need to support workgroup manager client, Windchill workgroup manager clients, and especially which versions need to be supported? How the Windchill handling revisions? Can we skip initial revision? Do we need to keep the original iterations and revisions from the source system and so on? Such kind of information we collecting. After that, all this collected information are populated into a database, and we set up all this required data. And in database, once when data are in database, then we can check the migration process feasibility by running various analysis of the data. For example, we can identify if some assemblies has dependencies that are missing, or maybe some models are not even available on the file system. Along with these processes, we also set up all components for the migration process, configure workgroup managers, configure bulk loader and DMS tools applications, and later we will see in this webinar more about those applications. And at the end, we will run the migration and monitor the migration process. On this slide, we can see the most important components of the ETRAGE migration system, and those are this EMS database, and this is the main component of the system. All required information for migration process goes here. The second is EMS tools, and this is a set of applications which uses database information to prepare and analyze migration process. And the third is bulk loader, and that is the application which physically load models into the Windchill. Now let's talk about first component, the EMS database. And in the EMS database, we keep all required data for migration, like information about models, about dependencies. All model versions goes here. Information about attributes related to these models, family tables information if we talk about Creo models, and many other options and information like lifecycle states, information about target Windchill, and all necessary information for processing. Along with this, database also keeps information if model is successfully processed or not, how many clients, bulk loaders will be used for processing, and also depending on database configuration, we can provide various migration scenarios. For example, once when we add the data to the database, we can provide a different set of migration scenarios. Like I said, you can select, do you want to create WT parts during the migration, or maybe you want to change the target locations of the models for target context, products, or libraries. The next is next component is EMS tools, and this component is create orders for models migration, then contain other tool that analyzes database and search for models that cannot be migrated. Also, in this using this application, we can set the target versions, check if all models contains correct dependencies, and we also has many other utility actions that help us to predict feasibility of the whole migration process. So using this tool, we don't need to actually start with the migration. We can just run analysis from this tool and see if something will block, some model will block the migration or something like that. The third component is bulk loader, and this is the component that actually do that migration to the Windchill. And as you can see, it we support different document types and 3D applications for migrations. And for the uploading Creo models, we are using Creo as authoring application. For the other CAD authoring applications, we are using that applications through the Workgroup Manager client. This application also communicates with EMS database and provides information if some model is successfully processed or not. In that way, failed models can be restarted and try once again, or if something went wrong during the initial migration attempt. Preparation is a key, as we stated here a couple of times. So the most important phase of migration process is preparation. And if we collect all relevant information properly and not miss any of important data like dependencies or instances, for if you talk about Creo models, then the migration process in most cases will go without any additional issues. So this correct information about Creo or AutoCAD, SolidWorks or Inventor models is critical for the whole migration process. And because once when the migration is started, that changes cannot be made easily, and in some cases the whole migration process must start from the beginning. So because of that, we're pointing on this preparation. Now let's review these migration benefits and what you can expect from our system. And first of all, our system can handle a large number of models for migration, and those numbers going from several thousands to several million objects for processing. The next is speed of processing, and the migration is always much faster with this automatic processing, even if you have all models in the same directory. And but in case of automatic processing, you don't need to pay attention on which models exactly are migrated and which are not. Some numbers, usually the migration is going from 5,000 to 20,000 objects daily per single machine. But this, of course, depends on quality of the models, and also migration goes with just plain parts or some family tables or family table assemblies and so on. So prediction is very rough for migration. And the bulk loader application that we mentioned previous can be run on multiple machines. And so the migration process can significantly speed if we include multiple machines for processing. So the whole migration process can run in parallel on multiple machines. The next benefit is that we keeping dependencies using bottom-up migration strategy, and that means that migration always starts with simplest components and goes up with complicated sub-assemblies and assemblies and then to drawings. In that way, we are sure that all objects migrated to the Windchill can be opened as stored configuration from the Windchill, and we cannot get into situation that objects that cannot be opened regularly can be migrated to the Windchill. So you can look at that as an additional model design check. In some cases, user is not actually aware that problematical models are on file system, and when tries to open model, the processing just simply fails. So the processing failed models, everything goes in our ETRAGE migration database, and the failed models can be reviewed or just can be restarted for processing. In some cases, just a simple network issues can lead to migration failure, but in some cases the design can be problematical, and in that cases designers from the company need to open that model, try to fix it, and then even manually migrate to the Windchill. But then our database can handle such situations also, because we then can set that model as migrated in our system. The next set of migration benefits is that migration can be configured to migrate files to different Windchill products and libraries, projects also, and keeping the folder structure as it is in the source system, but also we can update information and provide a completely different set of target locations. All models can go to one product or multiple products. One set of models can go to one library, while the other set can go to some different product. Migration process can be executed while users still using the old system, and that is also very important thing, because the migration process cannot be done over the weekend, especially if we are talking about a large number of models for migration. And in some cases, it can take from several weeks to several months, and depending on number of models and also how those models are correct on the file system. So in using our database, we are able to keeping track of migrated models, and this can ensure that migration process is efficient, because with this initial migration, we can then only upload models that are not already migrated and migrated them in some additional delta migrations. And each model is migrated using original authoring application, and that means that data integrity is kept using the same process as you will do that manually. The process is the same, actually. For example, for Creo migration, we'll open Creo, upload model into the Windchill workspace, and then check in that model into common space. And in that way, we are sure that everything is done as it will be done using the manual process. Some customer stories For we need to migrate CAD models from one Windchill to another, and during that migration, we need to clean up unnecessary versions. So request from the user was to migrate only released objects on non-latest revisions and all versions on the latest revision. And as a result, we migrated the CAD documents. We reduced the number of migrated CAD documents from 1 million to 600,000. And as an additional task, we do that export from the source Windchill to the file system. And as an additional benefit that user identifies is that some models that they have already checked into the old Windchill actually wasn't valid, and they need to pull these objects from their backup, and then we go with migration to the target system. In the second story, so during the migration preparation phase, customer became aware of models that with the same name on the file system, but in the target Windchill, the different geometry was totally different. And after that, the customer decided to change the names on the file system before a migration starts. In that way, we avoid even possibility to make some problems in target Windchill, where we will try to connect models with the same name to some top level assemblies, but that are completely different and invalid. So for at the end, let me present the typical scenario for migration that we identified in most companies. And the most common scenario for migration of the Creo models to Windchill is that a company keeps all 3D models on some folders on the file system. And usually the common parts and components used in other models are on one location on the file system, while assemblies, drawings, and other parts are located across network in different folders. And top-level assemblies and drawings are opened using search paths in configuration file. And for that scenario, the usual migration requirement is to all files should be migrated to the Windchill. We need to avoid multiple migration of the same model, to avoid migration of the models that clashes with models that are already saved in Windchill. Let's say that the company has some acquisition from the other company and need to upload those Windchill models, those Creo models, and set Windchill attributes related to migrated objects, like setting information about materials or who created the model. And all this, of course, can be done using our ETRAGE migration system. To the demo. So now let's show how EMS works and migrate multiple versions of the Creo models from the file system to the Windchill. All Creo models for migration that we'll show in this demo are located in these 4 directories from version 1 to version 4, and each directory contains different versions of the same objects. In version 1, we have drawings, parts, formats, and assemblies of the version 1. In the version 2 directory, we have second versions of the same objects and so on. Of course, our software is not restricted to any particular folder structure, so we can handle any file structure of the models. And to do that, to handle these models, we use metadata information about models to fill in our migration database. And these metadata can be in form of our predefined XML files that right now are located in this migration metadata folder in form as an XML file. That contains a lot of different attributes about models that we need for migration. The most important are dependencies, but there are also location of the file on the file system, how it will be named, and also some other different information that we needed. And also, we are not restricting user to create files as an XML files. We can handle any other format that from the user, like Excel spreadsheets and or CSV files. And of course, we will need to create some additional development tools that will be used for populating our database. When we talk about ETRAGE migration database that collect all these metadata, we can here one example of that of that database. And as you can see, the database itself collecting a lot of different information about objects for migration, starting from model name, type, source version, target versions, and source file path, to the target directories and target context names or context. Along with this information about models itself, we have a lot of other information related to the migration process itself, like settings of the Windchill, where models should go, then information about target and mapping between source and target revisions, attributes that need to be set for any particular object, or a workflow where we monitoring each step of the migration. So once when the metadata are saved in our database, we are using the EMS tool application that is used to handling all the data in database, from loading data, then we set target versions of the models, then running and set model version order that actually create an order of how models will be migrated. And at the end, we use this tools application, migration tools application, to identify problematical data, and at the end prepare a list for uploading. Now, I will not go and run the actions from the EMS tools application because we already do that for this demo. So now we are looking into one ETRAGE migration database completely prepared for the migration. And you can see here in this column, object migration state, that some models are already on the state for the migration. And once when we configure the database, run the EMS tools, do all necessary preparations for the migration, we are ready for migration itself. And for that purpose, we are using our EMS bulk loader application. The application is used for migrating multiple different CAD authoring application. And we can see here that right now we're supporting AutoCAD, Creo, Inventor, SolidWorks, and Unigraphics. As well, we can also process plain documents. On this demo, we will run and migrate the only the Creo models. Of course, for the migration purpose, we also provided a set of actions, different settings that can handle various migration situations. From do we need to manually upload, or do we need just to during migration to just upload models to the workspace. Before I go with start migration, let's first check the situation in Windchill, and in database we can see that we as a target product, and we have two target products, target context, one product and one library, the migration product and migration library. And in Windchill we can see that both this migration product and migration library at this moment are empty without any created folder or document. So let me start migration process. And the bulk loader will start by connection with to the database, getting the first model for processing, and then the application will run one by one object and uploading them to the Windchill and checking in. So if now we go to folders, to migration product, we will see that new folder CAD documents is created. And in that folder, we have already 5 parts added. If we go to the information page of this object, we will see also that one attribute is added, and version and the value of this attribute is set to migrated by EMS. And we also have that option provided in our database. During this migration phase, we can also monitor the database using some database client and see that statuses are changed from BL ready to migrated. If we identify some error, the status of migrated model for migration will be changed to different status. We will get the error description. So migration can continue with the other models while we are investigating failure for particular object. And also we have here information, are models ready for migration, and also the model version order that need to be used for migration. The bulk loader also can migrate objects and migrate the family tables. And if you look now into this migration library and folders, we will see that we get migrated family table parts, and also migration of the assemblies. We can see that bulk loader keeping the structure of the migrated objects. So this assembly is sub-assembly that contains two parts, and all this information are in our database. The database can be run in two modes, automatic and manual mode. And in automatic mode, the database automatically recalculate next set of models for migration, while in manual mode, if after initial set of models for migration is calculated and bulk loader finish with migration of all these models, it won't get a new set of models for migration. Of course, this migration for this migration process, we can use not just one bulk loader for migration. We can use multiple bulk loaders on different machines, but right now for this purpose, we just used this single model for single bulk loader for migration. And now we just need to wait the whole migration process to be finished. You can see that how bulk loader is running. Each particular assembly will be migrated as a single model. All dependencies are already migrated into the Windchill, and migration of that assembly will be in the way that all dependencies are first downloaded to the workspace, and then only that assembly is migrated. Also, we can handle harness parts and migrate the harness parts along with the related assemblies in one process. So now let's see the situation on the database. Okay, we just need to wait these 10 models to be processed. Okay, the migration is finished now. We can review again the database. All models are migrated, and we can check now our migrated objects from, let's say, this is a top-level assembly that we migrated. And if we look here now, we can see that it contains of two sub-assemblies, which depends on some more sub-assemblies, on parts, on family table parts, on instances. And also we can see in history that we migrate multiple top assembly versions. So that will be everything for this demo and the EMS migration presentation. Thank you for watching.